weiß Bescheid. Intendo.
Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast on the planet. Prepare to reevaluate everything you've been taught.
Start this one off by saying Happy Father's Day, all you wonderful fathers out there. I had a father once. He was a dude, that's for sure. Or was he? You know, there's so much that goes into how we choose to view what it is that we're choosing to view. And for those of you listening to this show right now, obviously you're waking up and you're seeing things just a little bit differently. To me, today was an interesting point, an interesting time of reflection, sort of as I sit back and think about the conversations that I've had with myself, with other people, with other conspiracy theorists in general, for example. And I use the term not as a derogatory term. I use the term as just a label because it sort of gets the point across. Outside the box thinkers, people that want to talk about the Anunnaki, aliens. I mean, if we look at this community, this free thinking community, this conspiracy community, I mean, essentially we have what appears to be, first and foremost, we have what appears to be the normies versus the conspiracy theorists. And the normies just do whatever it is the television tells them to do without even thinking about it. And that includes making fun of every single conspiracy theorist. But then there are the free thought thinkers who drift into the conspiracy realm. And they bring their normie mentality with them. And this is the idea that I've found something that goes against societal norms. And I'm going to die on this hill to protect it. This is the thing. Which essentially just kind of makes you the same as the person dying on the hill to protect the narrative. It's not a knock by any means. It's just a characteristic observation. I'm 100% aware of it because I went through it. I remember being an NPC. I remember the programming. It's like the what's that saying? The hamster's spinning, or the wheel's spinning, but the hamster's dead. That was me. That's a lot of you right now too, where you're trying to figure things out. But you're stuck in your programming. You're stuck in the same thing. Like, how do I break free from this? How do I understand this? How do I comprehend this? Remember too that every single thing that we've ever been taught is what we're basing our future on, or our current thoughts. There's a saying that goes, people can only understand you through their version, like their tinted trauma, the rose-colored glasses, their version of trauma. And we're even taught to talk about the word trauma, for example, as traumatic. Like, I got into a car accident and lost all my limbs, and I'm so traumatized. Yeah, man, that's trauma. But at the same time, every single thing that we deal with internally is also trauma. It's trauma that we have to grow from, that we have to repair inside. But the truth is on that, we look at this stuff and we also look at it as a derivative. What we've been told. All men, Happy Father's Day, have been told to suck it up. All women have been told that your man is strong, he opens the door for you. If he doesn't, he's non-chivalrous. If the man doesn't do for you exactly what you think the man should do for you, he's a dick. More division. It's really, really fascinating when you can say, okay, I'm gonna pull aside my preconceived notions of this relationship, this status, this thing, this entity, and look at it as a whole. And this division runs so deep. On the surface, when you're sort of starting to break into it, you look at this division as man versus woman, money versus poor, status versus no status, race, color, creed. But when you really break it down, it also comes down to opinions. How many people know about the Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, and all that sort of stuff? That's a big one, right? Also, flat Earth. Flat Earth is a big one too. But flat Earth, this is something that's to create an awakening, and it also creates a division. But conflict teaches us. And this is one of those things where the more you get into it, the more you understand that, first of all, third dimensional breaking out of third dimensional, breaking yourself out of your NPC role, well, that's huge. And understanding after you've broken out of the NPC role, understanding that there's a layer of, I kind of know what I'm doing, I kind of don't know what I'm doing. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They're like, I've mastered it. I've broken out. I no longer see things the way they were. I now see them for how they are, which is also false. You see things for how they are right now. And the more information you add and the more experience you gain, the more that perspective changes. And yet the whole world seems to stay the same. Politics keep politicking. Celebrities keep trying to be celebrities. Your favorite personal social media influencer, probably me, I'd like to hope. I'm up there with regards to the ideologies. Certainly nobody's favorite. But here's the fun thing. I can have these conversations and then you say to yourself, how are you talking to yourself? Maybe you are somebody's favorite. And I probably am. And to you, I say, right on. We're a team. But again, we have this preconceived notion built into us from the very get-go. And the easiest thing to do is blame. Blame that externally. And again, there's another point of contention, another point of division. External, internal. Science itself, even though it's forever changing, we must trust the science. That forever changes. And you have to study the science to trust the science. I mean, it's ridiculous. Another point of contention, another point of division, science. Science is a funny one. Another point of contention, science versus religion. Science is just another religion with better publicists. But religion, where the hell did that come from? Right? Why are the Muslims and the Christians fighting? Everybody essentially believes in the same God. And that God should be practicing peace or preaching peace. So why are we at war? Why are we aware of the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission? Why are we aware of George Soros, of these people? Well, because we're allowed to be. Because we're supposed to be. And what if every single person under the sun is right? What if all the flat earthers are right? What if all the concave earthers are right? What if all the globe earthers are right? Although that's a bit of a stretch because, how on earth could you possibly prove that? It's one of those awakening moments, when you decide that you're going to say to yourself, I no longer want to be this. I no longer want to sit in this. I no longer want to feel anger, hate, angst, anything towards anyone, including myself. That's when you can start accepting people's opinions. And the neat thing that happens when you accept people's opinions is you start accepting your own opinion. And when you understand that regardless of anything, the person that's giving you an opinion is sharing their experience with you. We choose to internalize that and take it personally, whatever the case may be. But the truth is that's not the case. There's no need to take that personally. There's nothing personal in there. These people are just having an experience, and you happen to be receiving their experience. Why? Because at the time you're hearing their message, it's the thing that you need to hear to help you get to the next step of where you're going. And every single person has a ton of things to say about that. Not so much anymore. But everyone's like, well, your point of view doesn't stand for, the person over in blah, blah, blah that's doing blah, blah, blah. Right? Which is theoretically, that person who's saying those words is interjecting their life story on what's happening to somebody else that they may or may not want to have happen. And they're sharing that ideology, opinion, status, statement with me aggressively, I guess hoping to dissuade me from having the opinion that I have. Or egoically, they need to be right. And when you no longer need to be right about anything, the tone and how you speak to people changes. And again, when the tone and how you speak to people changes, the tone and how you speak to yourself changes. So many people out there today looking for free love. Not free love, sorry, that sounds weird. Looking for love, looking to be completed by somebody else. Right? And there's the duality factor again. Who is this somebody else? What if we're all the same consciousness? And I'm going somewhere with this. You find a twin flame, a soulmate, whatever it is. They've got all these fancy names for it. But where'd the names come from? Where'd the language come from? Why do we speak English? Why do we speak any language? Why doesn't everybody speak the same language? Division. Why is it always darkest before the dawn? It needs to be. When you can step out of the NPC role, which is the gimmick, which is you landing in this spot, in this position, here, in this reality, in this realm, in this experience, you find out the things that you need to do and become. And then you get dissatisfied with it, or you've achieved your goals, or you've done something. But there's a piece of discomfort in any way, shape, or form that's going to change how you start moving. If you sit on a tack, you will get up quickly. If you sit on a fluffy cushion, you'll stay there for a minute. So anything that you do in your life leads to everything else that you do in your life, which sounds pretty open and obvious. But the truth of the matter is, when you start focusing on a much broader picture, a much bigger picture, you realize that all along the way, every ounce of everything that we've ever grown through has come from pain, bullshit, derogatory statements, feelings, hurtfulness, self-righteousness, over-inflation, over-defense, over everything. We sit in a world right now where there's a lot of people that want to blame celebrities, that want to blame the wealthy, without understanding that the system itself is fabricated. The entirety of the system is fabricated. There can't possibly, well, let me say this. The only possible way that there's any one person in charge of all of this, of everything that you see going on right now, there's only one person that could possibly be in charge of all of that. You. Because everything that you've ever seen, experienced, tasted, touched, smelt in this existence, in this reality, it's all yours. Every story you've ever heard, every idea you've ever had, every cross-pollination of thought that's ever gone through your head, any if this, then that, any extrapolation, all of it comes from the information that you've been handed and that you've personally experienced, which is also how every single person on this planet can have an identical experience, yet be completely unique. There's no two people on this planet, in this reality, in this realm, in this concave earth, in this flat earth, in this ethos, having the same experience. And here we are, an opportunity to connect with absolutely everyone out there, everyone you've ever clapped eyes on is having an experience that you're not having. And we have an opportunity to talk to them about it, to amalgamate some of their information, to find out what they've learned while they're here. But what do? We fight. We fight each other. We fight ourselves. We hate ourselves. We talk such shit to ourselves. We talk shit to other people. We talk shit about other people. What the fuck? Right? Why do we do that? Well, because I guess some of us have to experience it, because there's a point in time. Think about this. Think about two people talking shit about somebody. In this scenario, somebody has to be talking, somebody has to be listening, and somebody has to be the point of conversation, the one being talked about. So all three of these people had to have had all three different experiences to bring all three of them together to share this experience. And what does the experience do? When you hear somebody talking shit about somebody else, to me, it just infuriates me. It means I don't need to spend much time with you because your topics are really, really annoying. And that you're willing to spend enough time shitting on somebody else as opposed to spending that time lifting yourself up, trying to have a higher vibrational frequency, have a better experience. I mean, for me, when you look at this picture, when you look at the picture in grand form, you can see that every single thing, even though, I mean, it takes a minute to actually see that every single thing that you've ever experienced, every story you've ever heard, they're all your stories. How you choose to feel about the stories you hear is indicative of the story that's been told to you your entire life. right? There's so many things that can be used for example, but there are 2 sides to every story. There's 3 sides, 4 sides, 5 sides to every story. There isn't a single person that's right about anything. Because again, the only way that any of this can all be controlled by one person is you. I'm thinking about these things, and we've got coming up on the show soon. Brian Staveley's coming back, and he talks heavily. His point of topic is he's very aggressive in the Mandela effect, and the Mandela effect is just another point that when you observe it, you see that it's like the narrative, the place that we are is glitching out. Things are changing. They're just changing, right? Do you want to fight it? Can we fight it? Sure. Are you supposed to fight it? Sure. What's the purpose of fighting it? To be righteous, to feel good about yourself, to fight the idea that this is bullshit, to call somebody out on their crap? Like, there are so many people out there that want to shit on everyone, but why? Right? Well, I don't know their story. I'd love to find somebody that wants to shit on me and be like, listen, buddy, what's the deal? What's the story? Why are you feeling this way? This animosity can't be towards me because you don't even fucking know who I am. You may have heard stories, but anyone's telling stories about me, what are they really doing? Why are you telling stories about me? Why do I need to be on your tongue? Will Smith, keep my wife's name out. So when you think about this stuff, when you think about these things, all of this exists for you to make an opinion, for you to grow as an entity. Sure, some of us get lost, especially in the NPC days, where you're like, haha, I feel good about myself because you're a piece of shit. Or because this happened to that person, so it's not just me, so I don't feel so alone. We all have this internal dialogue that is not something that we share externally. It's not even something that we talk about or really fully address as to what our motivators are for why we feel what we feel. And when I say there's no one person in charge, there can't be. Like, everything that's happening that seems chaotic and crazy, do you think, when we say things like, oh, Trudeau's running the country into the ground in Canada. Oh, Joe Biden is systematically destroying the states. Fuck me. Joe Biden is doing nothing but eating ice cream and falling off his bike. Right? And then we could say things like, oh, he's a puppet, he's a clone, he's this, he's that, he's working for the man, he's working for the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group. Right? All of this stuff is information that you're taking in. Right? Who tells the Bilderberg Group what to do? Who tells them? Who's the higher up? You keep going higher and higher and higher up because there's always got to be somebody telling somebody what to do. In every aspect of everything. Right? And if we're focused on Trudeau and this, that's why I laugh about this stuff. We've got politicians that are like, no, fuck this guy. Let's vote this guy in to make a change, bro. Illusions, right? But the illusions exist to wake us up. Donald Trump as president. People will be like, look what he did. He ended the war. He's this, he's that. He's a true American patriot. And other people will be like, he's tweeting bullshit. He's doing this. He's a pervert. He's all kinds. Right? Nobody knows the guy. So everybody's opinion is just what they've seen. And then they hold it as a personal opinion, as fact. But I've always said, too, that Donald Trump was the guy that woke a lot of people up to the bullshit and the illusion and the facade of politics. Right? When the world's when Hollywood and politics fully merged, this is what we get. Right? You understand that the whole thing is a show. So am I going to get mad at Trump? Am I going to get mad at Biden? Fuck no. You're out of your mind. I'm going to see that the absurdity that they've demonstrated was there to help me grow. Therefore, I needed it. Right? Talk shit, get hit was a saying that took place a lot when I was a kid. You got hit enough, you stopped running your mouth and you started changing the way you act, spoke, talk, walked. Right? You created moral and merit and something to stand on. And then you started telling true and real stories. But you had to get hit a lot. Kids today are having a different experience than us. The entities that are here today are on a different journey than we were, than anyone, your age, your creed, your group. We also think everything's massive. We think, how could anyone fake their deaths? How could Tupac and Biggie fake their deaths? Right? Well, it's so simple because back in that day, all they had to do was point the camera away. Nobody had cell phones. Everybody everywhere's got a cell phone camera in their settings. And think about Elvis. How did Elvis fake his death in 1977? Super easy. But the guy was so famous, there were Elvis sightings everywhere for the next 30 years. Elvis sightings was a thing. And it probably was the king. There's probably 10% of all those Elvis sightings was Elvis just being Elvis. But the story was in our head. He's dead. Why would they lie? right? Man, everything about everything that we've ever been told is a lie. But it's not a lie, because for it to be a lie, we would have to assume that there was a basis point of truth. And that assumption is that we signed on to a game. We signed on to an idea. We signed on to something before we got here, which is where soul contracts come from, to help us grow through all this stuff. If everything was super easy and super complacent and there was nothing to complain about and we were living in a complete, total utopia, what will we learn? How would growth be? How quickly would you get bored? I mean, people go on vacation, and I've done it before too, where you go to the all-inclusive where you don't have to put any thought into it. Man, after 7 days, you're ready to go home. All your food's handed to you. All the booze is free. You can swim in 42 different pools. There's people everywhere having a good time. Beaches everywhere. All kinds of activities. After 7 days, you're like, yeah, I could go home. You could stretch that to 14 days. I know I did one 14-day stint, and after day 10, I'm like, I got to get out of here. This is too much. Right? Because it's not right. It's not meant for that. Like, your mind is meant to grow, change, alter, adapt, expand. And when we sit here and we sort of point the finger externally, we eliminate the fact that, again, the higher up you go, there's only one person that can possibly be in charge of all of this, and that's you. So all the good that you see and all the bad that you see are all the things. Risk and reward, all that sort of stuff. You're seeing what you need to see. Which means that everybody that's playing a role in this, and we've all heard that the whole world's a stage and we're all just actors. They're all acting for you. Because the only thing that could ever possibly be anything is your perception of it. And if this triggered any of you, it's just more deep work that you've got to do. I'm not here telling you as it is. I'm simply telling you my experience up until this point. And the fun thing about this show and about me and about you guys listening to this is that you'll always be able to hear where I am, because I'll always talk about where I am, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I'm doing, how I'm going about it. This podcast to me is therapeutic. It allows me to say the things I need to say or want to say. It allows me to think deeper because I'm putting it out there, because I'm expressing it outside of the voice inside my head. And there's so much more that goes into it. There's so much more that can be created from it. And hopefully it sparks you guys to start asking questions or to thinking a little bit about sort of certain things. But I'm telling you, the idea of misery, anxiety, depression, this was all handed to us. Also, we had the opportunity to overcome it. And every single person that we can look at and blame and say, this person's a piece of shit, that person's a piece of shit, right? That we're aware of it and that we're willing to adapt our own energy because of what we've observed is the goal. Right now in Canada, everything's weird. In the States, everything's weird. Everything's weird. Inflation's this, and everything's going up, and all of these things aren't making any sense. Like, there's only one inevitable outcome to all this, and that's the collapse of finance. And finance has been holding each and every one of us back since day one. We aren't focused on attaining our goals. We're focused on attaining money, right? And with inflation going the way it's going, most people are living less than paycheck to paycheck, which means that the money that you're making is enough to pay for your food and your roof, right? That's not benefiting anyone. That's slavery. And no one's making you do this, right? We're just beholden to an idea. There's a lot of people out there that if they drop the size of their houses, they'd have extra money left over. They'd have more free time. They'd be able to transition their job into having different experiences. And every single person's got a story as to why they can and why they can't. And every single person's completely correct when they tell their story. But the truth of the matter is, every single point of contention, every single pain point that we've ever experienced is a jumping point for growth. An opportunity for us to see something within ourselves that we need to see to get us to where we need to be. And we hate each and every one of them until we grow from them. And then we often don't think about them anymore. And we're on to the next thing that we hate, that we're growing from. Now, there are people that are going in a different direction. It's just hate, self-spiral, hate, self-spiral, hate, right? And those people kind of exist. Maybe they're NPCs. Maybe there's nobody even in there, right? But if you can observe them, if you can witness them, if you can help them, they exist for you to attempt to help. If you can't help them, they exist for you to understand what it's like to just let something be. You don't have to control everything. right? There's a lesson in absolutely everything. I could go on and on and on for this, and I probably will. And this will probably be, an arc that gets worked into a lot of the episodes moving forward because it seems to be a predominant thing. Shit's weird, right? Shit's weird now because of how ridiculous it was before. And that's huge. That's huge. Ladies and gentlemen, on this Father's Day, it won't be Father's Day when you listen to it, but on this Father's Day, just give yourself a break. Just give yourself a break. Don't be so tough on yourself. Don't be so tough on people telling stories. Don't be so tough on all this sort of stuff. Just sit back and go, you know what? We're moving forward. Tomorrow's a new day, and I'm looking forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, in the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
Thank you for listening to today's Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag MMA and Mental Mastery Alliance. Want more motivation? Be sure to follow online on Instagram at Mental Mastery Alliance and on Facebook at Mental Mastery Alliance. And remember, your perception creates your reality. Make it a great day.
You got it, Pontiac.